it okay if I hold it? I've always appreciated in the Harry Potter series all of J.K. Rowling's descriptions of Hagrid. He's being described like he's always well-intentioned, he's doing the best that he can, and he always wants to connect with people. He's just too big, you know? So he's always, like, there's always stories of him hitting Harry with a trash can lid size hand, or breaking someone's ribs with a hug. He's trying to connect. It becomes a little uncouth when you're that large. And I've got to say, I think I understand a little bit maybe about how Harry felt. So, some years ago, I had the chance to go on a sailing trip with my adopted brother, Josh, and his biological dad, Jay. The reason we got to go, Jay was a charter boat captain and was charged with delivering boats to whoever bought them all along the Atlantic coast. And on this particular trip, he only needed 2 crew members, and they didn't need to know a thing about sailing. So conveniently, I got to come. So the trip was from South Florida, I lived in Florida at the time, South Florida, Fort Lauderdale to Savannah, Georgia. The trip was going to take about 4 days, 3 nights. And it was wonderful. So the reason I got to come, and that we didn't need to know about, was this beautiful 42-foot sailboat. And as well as being fully a capable sailboat, it also had a motor, and it had autopilot. And so we were on board, and we sat on it and ate good food while it drove itself up to Savannah, Georgia. Now, the only thing where we came in, and the only thing that the boat wouldn't do, was not run itself into other ships out in the shipping lane. We went up the Gulf Stream, and so that was our thing. So for 24 hours a day, we had to be on watch. And our watches consisted, we would sit up on deck, standing or sitting or doing whatever, and you would look around and make sure that our boat wasn't going to hit a cruise liner or a cargo ship or something, and then we would go back to reading or hanging out or playing games, and then every 10 minutes or so, we would look around again, and if it seemed like we were safe, then we just kept on. So that was our whole thing, and we split up the time. There were just the 3 of us, so during the day, we would do 3-hour shifts, and so you'd have 3 hours on and then 6 hours off, and 3 hours on and 6 hours off. And it was incredible. I had never taken, I guess I'd been out fishing or deep sea fishing, but had never been really out on the ocean. And so we were passing through this crystal blue water and got to see a huge pod of dolphins came up to us. And so I watched as a baby dolphin, it wasn't this big, it was bigger. And I got to watch it nurse at the mama dolphin, which even Jay, the captain, was saying it was something he had never seen. We saw a submarine out in the distance, and I thought that flying fish only existed, like maybe that they lived on Discovery Channel, but it turns out, like there they were with their weird-ass fins, just like sailing past our boat. It was just very different than anything I had ever experienced. So that was what we were up to during the day, and that accounted for 18 hours of the day. For the last 6, from midnight till 6 in the morning, we would just you had 1 2-hour shift. And I don't remember if we drew straws or how it worked out, but I ended up with the 2 in the morning to 4 in the morning shift. And I don't really know if there's a good time to get a middle of the night shift. I will say I will be forever grateful that I got that time. And here's why. I have been on a lot of camping trips and adventure weeks and done a lot of outdoor stuff. I have never felt more connected to nature, more in touch or in tune with its rhythms than I did out on that boat, essentially by myself in the middle of the night, just rocking on the waves. At night, you were supposed to, you do the same thing, and apparently boats, they have maybe like a red light on the port side and a green light on the starboard or something. You're supposed to be able to tell what direction they're going if you see them off in the distance. I'm quite colorblind, so I couldn't tell, but I could definitely tell that we're about to hit one or we're not. And so I did fine. Anyway, it was amazing. It was there that I learned, did you know that the moon rises and sets about 50 minutes later each night than it did the night before? I didn't, but on that trip, I was out, and the first night that I was there was no moon, just an infinity of stars out 40 miles off the coast, far from any lights that would obscure them. The second night, there was a moon that was, that set probably in the first 20 minutes of my time out, and then all the stars came out again. And the third night later still is almost right at the end of my shift that I got to watch it set. Did you know that the stars turn in the sky? I had heard vaguely that they moved, but I didn't know exactly what they did. I had literally nothing to do except to watch them. They turn around the North Star. They turn around the Pole Star. And so I just sat on this boat and watched the stars wheel in the sky. Since then, I've learned a lot of Psalm 19 that talks about how the heavens declare the glory of God, and they speak with voices that everyone can hear. I didn't know that psalm then, but I came to believe it, I think. So on the last night, by the last night, we had been at this a few days, and I'm pretty blurry-eyed. 3 days is not enough time to get used to a boat constantly rocking under you and having to wake up at weird times all the time to go and watch. But I had come to just treasure these times at night when I could go and sit with the stars. It had become a pretty holy time for me. So I watched the moon set that night and had probably 25 minutes of just me and the ocean and the stars. And like I said, just felt so connected. C.S. Lewis talks about nature being, it's beautiful, but it's like a door that we can see through but can't get in. We can't enter in. And I felt close to making it in the door. And apparently, for nature, it didn't feel like it was enough for me to feel connected to it. It wanted to feel connected to me. And sort of oafish as it is, Hagrid-esque, you might say, it reached out clumsily, we'll say. So I'm sitting, and in this moment of perfect peace, a single flying fish came out of the water and hit me, or headbutted me right in the wiener. To say that I was shocked does not do it justice. And two things happened right away. I've never felt like the difference in the different parts of my brain. Like right away, I knew what had happened, and I knew that it was fine. It's okay. It's just a fish. Immediately, I was talking myself down. The fight or flight, the survival part of my brain felt like I had just been in a car wreck. And my very first response was to jump up, squirming, and run below deck. Which I did, unabashedly. And still I was trying to talk myself down. I was like, it's fine. It's not a big deal. It was just a fish. And I was saying that as just my head is sticking out from the stairway as I'm watching this fish flop around ridiculously. And still I tried to say, it's fine, it's not a big deal, as I finally got up the courage to just tow it over the edge without really trying to touch it at all. And so then I sat back down, still, it's fine, it's not a big deal. I said, but my peace was shattered because I knew if a fish could do it, a shark could do it, and I would never survive that.